Hey everybody, and welcome to today's lighting critique. We've got a few images to go through. We've got our some regulars online here. We've got some talk of The Thing, an 80s horror movie that's awesome. It's peak Kurt Russell. And and also this is in case anyone's having any audio issues, Discord audio can be a little goofy when you come on live. So Sylvain, you're on live. We're going to go ahead and start right here with you. So we've got an update on this is the latest and greatest on the winter cabin scene. Let me go ahead and grab the original that we had too. The first one, just so we can see the. Oh wait, actually, yeah, here we go. Let's grab the original up here. All right, talk us through. What did you change? What did you update?
Boosted the light from the flare.
Yeah.
I also increased the moonlight on the house to bring it up a bit.
Yeah.
Also the feel on the house, so it's not as dark. The problem I didn't enable GI, so that's why some part of the image can get pretty dark. So I need to think about compensate and for those really dark areas. Also, as I said, on the screen left side of the house, the trees behind, I gained down a little bit the light from the flare, so it's not, it's less red, and so the house pop more. It's not, it's a bit more contrast in color, so it's easier to read. And also on the screen right side, boosted a little bit the fog. So again, the house can pop a little more.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the trees are actually looking really good. I think that this value for the trees is perfect because you've got a nice little sky rim on them that's kind of identifying them. So it's not you're very aware that you're in this snow-covered foresty type scene, but they're not standing out too much. And really, you do a good job of getting the focus really, really tightly on the house itself, and this flare. The flare looks great. This trail looks really great. The lens flare on it, the lens flare on the flare, looks really good too. The only thing, and it's kind of because I was looking at the reference, and one of the ones that color on that flare looks really nice. I was looking at this image, and I think. Yeah, not so much this one because it's got a little bit more, but I think that adding a little more compensation for that the lack of global illumination it would be helpful, because I love the structure of this shot, and it's just as creepy, but there's more mid-tone values in this region here, and it really saves those deep blacks for the far background and then kind of in here in the foreground, and it really kind of helps us narrow in a little bit. So what I was thinking was taking this, and then what I would do if I were you in this instance is I would do a separate render of just maybe just your skylight separated could be enough, and then if you can get Z depth information, that would be rad, because what you could then do is just kind of lift the midtones in just the area right around the house. And again, this might be a little bit too much. I can take this down, but basically what you're doing is you're going to allow some of those values to kind of to stand out. So you're building a structure for an image that you're framing it with the darker elements. So even both in Z depth space and in two-dimensional space, because you're framing it, wrong thing. You're framing it top to bottom is kind of and then you're able to focus in right here, and then layering it in Z depth space of foreground to background will kind of help to sell that out too. So I think that zeroing it right in on the middle would be good, and that's pretty much my only thought on this. I think I like the and this is just because snow is tough. I love the brightness of the snow right here. I would tone it down just a touch right here so we get the focus on the house, and then the snow on these two pillars and kind of on the house there feels a little bit grayed out. I would boost that up just a little bit too, just gamma that up just a touch. But does anybody else have any thoughts on this? I think it really looks good.
One thing that jumped to me was that, and I don't know if you guys have already talked about that, but I kind of feel like the mountains on the back are way too dark compared to, because like they're both being illuminated by the moon. Like for example, the top of the house and the mountains on the back kind of like would have the same amount of light. So that's the only thing that jumps at me.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. It might yeah. Like I maybe pull a little bit more value out of those mountains. Excuse me.
I know that if I remember correctly, I gained down a little bit the mountains in the back, so to focus a bit more on the house. But maybe I could just bring down the field light and keep the rim light of the moon a bit up a bit more, so it's not too just a black area.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool way of doing it.
Really, really, really good stuff all around, man.
And about the midtones, I already graded it a bit, but not enough.
Yeah, I think you can go more. I think because it still feels.
I can do it a little bit more.
Yeah, because it still feels like a. It feels like a little bit over cranked in the contrast. Like I think it just in that central area, and I think that just by lifting the midtones and the darks and the midtones a little bit more. You can still achieve that like rich, contrasty looking image while having a little bit more of that, like that, without making it feel like it's over cranked in the contrast.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, Carolina, how are you? I saw you. I grabbed your reference images that you posted for the tree scene. Did you have an opportunity to render it? I know that it looked like that was something that you were grabbing here. Let's see. And I know that you're having audio issues before, so I'm not sure if you're able to hear me or not.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Wait, sorry, it's hard to hear you. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I couldn't finish that render, like the animation, but that's why I load the tracing.
Hold on, sorry. Let me just turn my speaker way up here. Can you say that again?
Oh, okay.
Oh, go ahead. I can hear you.
Basically, I saw that I don't have daylight render.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to achieve this, but what I see in the post is that I like to achieve a daylight. The softening of the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a soft or like a glow.
Yeah.
Maybe it can be a lens.
Yeah, I can show you that. Let me just turn this down before somebody else talks and blows my ears out. Okay. All right, let's take a look at these Lord of the Rings images. So I think that and these are the ones that she's talking about. These kind of like for the daytime ones, like super soft, super kind of glowy. Just like really, really, really beautiful looking stuff here. And I think that the Lord of the Rings kind of typified this look in a lot of ways. And, like they went hammy and over the top with like how peaceful and iconic and glorious the Shire looked. So back in the day, a long time ago, before basically in order to achieve a look like this and a softening of the lens, they would actually put. The rumor was, or what I read, was that they put Vaseline on the lens, or they put some sort of agent, like some sort of something on the lens to kind of soften the light and diffuse it and like break it up a little bit. We tend not to do that anymore, but go ahead.
We used to put Vaseline or how do you call it? Stockings.
Yeah.
Women's.
Oh, really? Wait, did you actually do that? Because I've only read about it. I've never actually did it in my photography days.
I did, yes.
So I think, let me just find an image here. So the way that, and I have like a diffusion kind of glowy, some tutorials in the lectures. Let me just grab let me just grab something. Let's just say
I use
portrait.
the one that you do a highlight diffusion. But
Yeah.
maybe it needs to be.
Yeah, but I can show you here in like let's just take this image. Like let's say I had this one, and I kind of wanted to soften it up a little bit. The way that you would, and I don't think I have nuke loaded on my machine right now, but like I think my license expired. But basically, what you would do is you would take this, and your goal is you want to isolate the brighter elements of the image, and then like soften around that. So the way that I always have done it, for better or worse, is I'll take the image. I'm just sitting. I'll just do it this way so you can see everything. I'll copy it and I'll paste it, and then from there I will blur it up a little bit, and then I add that back over top of the original image. So it's now a softer version of the original. So it's just taking the colors and distorting them, and then you can either, there's a difference between adding and screening, and these are the two that I generally use, and you can kind of see the difference. So adding is as straightforward as the layering operation gets. It's taking the pixel values, and like if one pixel value is like 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, and the other one's 0.4, 0.4, 0.4, wherever they come together, it becomes 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. Like it just adds things together. Screening them does the exact same thing, but it actually caps them at white. It won't allow them to go past white. So it's got like a top point on it. So again, I'm gonna dial in how this looks, but depending on how you want it to look is whether or not you're using an adding linear dodge operation or a screening operation. And then I can kind of dial this in. And now what you want to do is, because right now it's just kind of happening everywhere, and instead what I want to do is isolate it to just the highlights. Now, like in Photoshop and a still, I could certainly go through and just take a big old eraser and just take away the areas that are not like the brightest parts of the image, because that'll allow the brighter parts just to kind of glow up a little bit. But in a moving image with a frame sequence, you want to use a keyer inside a nuke. It detects the highlights, and you can say you isolate it to just the bright parts of the image, and that will allow you to create a little bit of that extra glow on there. And I'm being very heavy-handed about it at the moment, but it'll allow you to kind of soften everything. And then depending on how soft you want to go, like if I really want to go soft about it, you can blur that even more. Like I just did like a 10 pixel blur. Like if I tripled it and went crazy with it, you can like really create some soft effects in it. So that's how I would that's kind of how I would achieve that. I always achieve that kind of glowiness stuff in post in the composite, because you have more control over it. You can dial it back in certain areas and uplift in certain areas, and it's just the iteration on the look of it is just so much faster than trying to do it in lens. I bet you in lens is probably more physically accurate, but it's just a better workflow as an artist to do it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Now
Just
I want
jumping in about the diffusion, glow, etc. I posted a video in the chat where someone shows some advanced techniques to make proper exponential glow in nuke, but also diffusion and bloom.
Awesome.
And it's all about the blur node and all what you can do with it. And it's a really cool video. So if you're using nuke, definitely you can watch it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And a lot of it too is how it's lit, like the daytime stuff. It's a lot of it just doesn't, like, at no point does anything go black, right? Like it's pretty lifted. It's like really leaning into the bounce light. And that's some of the post-processing stuff too. So just like lots of softness, low contrast, warm values, like just to kind of get all that going. So, okay. So I think, and then the other one that I wanted to go over real quick was, This one from Jenty. Basically, so this is a Minecraft scene. This was the image that was tied to it as a reference, and I wanted to just like talk it through a little bit. So this was the image that was posted, and I wanted to separate out the key light from the fill light because I feel like it's pretty evenly lit right now, and I want to just like create more shaping and really push as much shaping as I wanted. So I asked for the key light to be separate from the fill light, and we've got, and this is what we got back. So this is the key light, this is the fill light, and so the fill light is just kind of doing everything. And the key light is doing a small amount of work. But one of the things that I wanted to point, actually I think I had the older one too. Let me grab that real quick. So the other thing was, yeah, so the reason why because I was looking at this, and I was just kind of confused by these pixels here that are going super bright, and then also like losing kind of the detail in the bottom half of the character here. And then when you look at just the fill, it's actually like a lot of that stuff goes away. So and then I think that like combining it with the key, I think this is maybe where it's coming in. But I'm confused as to why the key isn't in hitting the environment. So I just kind of wanted to take a step back and take a look at some reference of like how I think that you should approach this and how the lighting should go. So, and again, for this reference, it's tricky because it's like this Minecraft look that's very boxy. And even this one, like, I have some issues with I think the black is too dark. I feel like compositionally, like, there's a line that kind of cuts straight through the head and through the knees, which is kind of like a no-no. So I think that compositionally you can do better than this, in that, like, and I think we kind of have it too. So even if like this tree could come up a little bit and like frame around the character, and literally it's background and blurred out, just scale it up just a touch. And then for the lighting itself, the way that I would do it is start with a key light, pull it way back away from the scene, and shine it down on the character. Like generally I like to do it where they're looking. Like if I don't have any other options, like, or any other images around it to dictate where the key position is, you want somebody to be kind of hopeful, even though nobody would ever do this because you don't look directly in the sun. You kind of want it up here to kind of create some shaping going across. And again, like I know it's tricky with these blocky characters, but I think we can push it, because what I'm seeing here again with the skirt is just like it just goes kind of yellow and we lose the shaping on it. So this is all about creating the shaping. Like the way that you've got it in the cape, I think looks really good. It's just getting more of that to communicate the volume of the thing. And then for the fill light, you want to create a sky dome for that. Now the sky dome value will be dependent on different things, but roughly speaking, for a daytime scene, and this is just like a really rough thing, you want the fill light value to be about 1/3 the intensity of the key light value. That's like if you're putting it in numerically, if you're using two different spotlights, generally you start with, or I always start with a value of the fill light to be 1/3 of the value of the key light. It'll be a little bit different for your for what you're working with. Just because like there might be like maybe you'll put an HDRI map in there or something, but I think for this I would just do it as a straight kind of cooler color, and that's also a point too. So the key light will generally be a little bit of a warmer color, the sun basically, and then the sky represents the sky color, the fill color. So that would be a little bit of a cooler, like think like the blue of a blue sky. So I would start with that. And then, because I think we do have some good structural stuff here. And then, yeah, just like I said, just bring that tree up a little bit. The depth of field looks good on the background and the foreground. Just make sure the face of the character is in focus. Like I can see some fuzziness, especially around the eyes. And just make sure that the focus is close enough to really get that character in. Oh, I also meant to pull up, because I think that like, one of the things that I always look at for this, and more so from more so than any of the Minecraft stuff. I think the Lego movies just did such a brilliant job of good color and good like use of scale on some of this stuff. Like this one is a really good example. It's a slightly different geometry, but you get the idea. Like, you know, the shaping coming across here, the blur on the background, like getting the character to separate. Like this is what I was talking about. Like the character is more saturated, the background's more shadowed and kind of blurred out and less contrasty back there. And then just like really getting the character to read. And then the other thing is like, look at the vest, right? It's backlit, but like it feels like that soft plastic in there as well. And I think that we can get a little more richness in this as well. It'd be really cool to get a little bit of subsurface scattering in the shader as well. So I know you're traveling. This is all for when you get back. I won't be critiquing after your trip. So safe travels, have a good time, and then we can pick up on the other end. All right, cool. Does anybody have anything else they would like to cover? Any last minute posts or anything before we break for the weekend?
Sorry, can you repeat the note for the tracing?
Oh, hold on. Nobody else say anything. I'm turning up the volume again so I can hear.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. What was that?
Can you repeat the notes for the tracing?
Oh, for the for this stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, the big notes were make sure that like in order to match this kind of daytime look, you'll want to create that diffusion that we talked about. You want to make sure that you are really leaning into bounce light or global illumination, this idea of that the light's going to hit the ground and scatter around all over the place, because that is the look that we go into. Make sure you keep your lights nice and warm. That will help add to that look as well. It's always they use a lot of colorful lighting in Lord of the Rings. Like you can tell by like how blue this is. And then, and then also lean into God rays or like these kind of lines that come down. Those are always helpful. And then larger radiuses on your lights than you probably normally would go. So like they're all like there's never a harsh shadow. There's never like anything like that. Everything's just very, very super soft.
Okay. And the composition, you found it. Okay.
Wait, one more time.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
The composition. You said right?
Oh yeah. For the composition of. Let's see. There's one other one in here too. Wait, is this your render?
Yes.
Oh wait, I mixed up this. I'm so sorry. I thought that was one of your reference images. I looked at that too quickly. Sorry. Oh wow. Okay, great. Sorry. Let me just copy this. Yeah, actually, I was like, I saved the one twice by mistake. There we go. Okay, great. Yeah. So Oh yeah, great. So I am so sorry. So overall, yeah, I think you're doing a lot of the things. So I think compositionally, I think it looks really good. I think that it feels a little lopsided to the left. I would just shift this over, like just slide the camera a little bit over to the left to make that door more in the center. You're doing a really beautiful job of getting the center of interest right here. I think we can even go darker in the background, like not darker, more of a shadow in the background. And then where there is shadow, like back over here, I feel like we're losing some detail in there. So just make sure that there's like a little, like maybe like little pockets of light hit that are picking up some detail in there, just because it feels a little bit flat in that region. I would also layer the volumetric light that's coming in. I would also I would pull it back a little bit off the door, and then increase it back behind it, just because I want to use a little bit more of a darker value here, like something like this, to create that separation between the foreground and background.
Okay.
Right? So just that like little bit of extra contrast. And then additionally, so I am a big fan of this, and you can totally not do this if you don't want to. I would also, the way that it's like a clean a clean spotlight hit or key light hit right there on the door, I would do something similar where I try and get some like a little bit of light on this path, because I always love to see the path from the viewer to the destination source. I always love to see like to lead us down that path. The other big thing for you to work on is and this is going to be tricky, but there is so much detail in the wood and stuff that I'm losing it. Like the leaves just kind of feel like flat planes. And if there's any way to get more detail in the shaders on the leaves, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
But really good, really good. I love the camera position. I love that we're like looking up at it and it feels special. Also, it also feels, because there's a lot of depth of field, it feels small, like smallish. Like it feels like it might be a little bit of a miniature. It's a very clever. It already feels very mythical, in a way. And I can't explain necessarily why, but it's the warm light. It's what you got going on. So really, 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 really good start.
Okay, thanks.
All right, cool. Yeah, no problem. All right. That is all for this week. Like I said, I'll be back next week with more critiquing. I will be Monday will be a written critique, and then we'll be back Tuesday for another one of these live ones. So enjoy your weekend, everyone. Have fun. Be careful. Don't do anything crazy. And I will see you back again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I sound like my dad now. My dad would say that to me when I was a kid. I'm done. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Hi.